What's going on, folks? I'm back, and ironically enough, as we were on the break, I got a notification on my email from a company that actually builds a storage kit for me to basically put my SBR in and keep it locked and secured whenever I'm not by my truck or in my truck. So I think I kind of spoke that into fruition. So applaud to me, and now I can roll around the city strapped up with my AK and my SBR AR-15 ready to go, right? Oh man, but no, seriously though, I'm actually kind of really excited. I'm trying to contain it because I was waiting for this thing to come back in stock for the longest. So yeah, we'll get to go on that one. I don't like this price though, but whatever, we'll live. So before we went to break, I said I wanted to talk about just the experience you had as an athlete and the kind of unique situations that you had to factor in and had to deal with from a safety perspective, just being out and about, being more noticeable than normal people like me. In many ways, I always looked at athletes as targets. I remember when I was doing the club scene, and I was a club promoter. We'd always have events where athletes would come, and I knew. I would always hear stories about different athletes getting robbed on the way home from the club that night, things of that nature, just because, big target on the back. What was your experience like?
My experience was, I really never had any issues. I'll take that back. My first experience I had was down in Baltimore, man. Was actually leaving the club one night and didn't have navigation in my truck, wanted to be cheap. I had a two-wheel drive Tahoe in Baltimore on the East Coast, so I got stuck in every snowstorm. Anyway, though, I was driving, dude, and I went on this back street trying to get back to my apartment. And when I got up to the red light, two guys actually walked in front of my truck, and I saw two guys walk behind my truck. And it just so happened when I saw that, at that time it's East Coast, I couldn't carry a gun in the car. And at that time, I didn't even have a gun. Yeah. So getting out of that situation, I had to put my truck in drive and actually make a right to get about it, and there's no telling what possibly could happen with that. My experience, I really never had a issue as far as anybody trying to rob me, anything like that.
Yeah. No. What about any of your friends that you or some of your teammates or anything like that?
Not anybody personally that I've known, but I've heard about it, man. In the NFL, dude, guys going out like you said, having a good time, not paying attention to their surroundings, leaving the club at night, take a wrong turn, somebody's following them. End up getting robbed, man. Yeah. But for me personally, especially being on the East Coast, like it's totally different from. It's totally different from Texas. Yeah. So my whole thing is always just paying attention to my surroundings. I feel like a lot of times when situations go bad, people they're probably not paying attention to their surroundings and what's going on around them.
Yeah, which is true. I think, for instance, with you in that situation when you were in Baltimore, that's what got you out of that situation, was being aware.
Right. Being aware of it, man. And you know what, dude, when I hear about guys that's probably got robbed, that's played in the NFL, dude, it's typically just going out, being flashy, man. People pay attention to it. You're already in the spotlight naturally because you're probably the biggest guy in the place. So the spotlight is already on you. And just some guys just don't pay attention, man. Yeah. But for me, dude, I always try to fly underneath the radar. Yeah. So I was never into, I never was into jewelry or anything. I never was a flashy guy, which there's nothing wrong to that. But for me personally, I just tried to fly underneath the radar as much as I possibly could.
Not draw that attention to yourself. And it sucks because you would think, somebody in a position, they should be allowed to enjoy their success. Mm-hmm. Then again, we do live in reality, and that comes with the cost. So if you're willing to accept the cost that comes with the visibility that comes with being a little flashy, then and you got to take the precautions necessary to kind of deal with what comes with that. And I see it all the time. And it's always not, at least when I was on that scene, a lot of it wasn't even always athletes. It was just kind of just guys who were kind of big in the city for the most part. Right. And the flash can get you into trouble.
Gets you in trouble, man. It gets you in trouble too. And one of those things is just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Yeah. Another experience I had with just being in the NFL, man, was that you couldn't have a gun inside the facility, and you couldn't have a gun actually on that, like in that parking lot. Yeah. So when you pulled up to go to practice today, like you actually couldn't have a gun in
You couldn't even have a gun in the car on the parking lot premise?
In the parking lot. So Kansas City, right now in Missouri, that was different. Like you couldn't have it in your car while you was on the parking lot. So I think about it. That was frustrating because I'm like, dude, like, well, the difference between the Ravens and Kansas City, the Ravens was just in the back of the woods where that facility was. Like, you had to really go searching to find it.
Yeah.
Kansas City was more like local in the city. So as you leave out and right, you're going to your house, you're going to your apartment. Like, that's when you're back out, you know, so anything can happen. Those are always my issues with not having a weapon on me.
Gotcha. Now, from a player standpoint, I don't know how much you can speak to this. Was there a gun culture? Was there a kind of understanding of or kind of a positive gun culture, negative gun culture? How did that exist in that ecosystem?
Each team I played for, there was a gun culture. How it started for me, it was always started with hunting.
Gotcha.
Like typically, for some reason, the punters and the kickers and the long snappers, they always hunted. Like they have so much free time, and typically, like I see them come in one morning, they got the camouflage on. Like obviously, you went hunting, and then it was starting to gun conversation. With the Ravens, really not a lot. But as I got into Kansas City, and I got more back down to Dallas with the Cowboys. Just started to see more of a culture in the locker room with guys talking about guns. But it was just one of those things, man. You see a guy come in, you probably got like some tack boots on.
Yeah.
You probably got like a 5'11" shirt on. You'd be like, yo, you got a gun? And it's just like one of those looks. Dude. It's like what's understood don't have to be said. Like you get a look, you be like, yeah, I got a gun. Yeah. And you just, come on, let's go in the corner and go talk about it. Yeah, man, dude. One of my good buddies, man, I ain't talked to him in a while, bro. Guy named Ernie I played with.
Yeah. Man,
he was like big into guns, like over 100 guns, man. And it started exactly like that. Like I came in the locker room one day, he had a 5'11" shirt on, he was in the corner. I was like, Ernie, you got a gun? He said, yeah, I got a lot. So we just started talking, man. It turns out like he was like truly into this whole gun thing, dude. Yeah. He was really big into it.
That's what's up, man. That's awesome. And so like you mentioned about hunting. When was the last thing you hunted?
Actually, I went deer hunting.
Yeah.
Up in Maryland a couple weeks ago. I didn't kill anything, but time. I just had a little time myself. But that was the last hunt that I went on.
Gotcha. So did you grow up hunting, or was it something that just kind of came about?
I grew up hunting. I grew up in Louisiana, Grayville, Louisiana, a town of 1,000 people. Dude, we just got a Walmart like a couple years ago, so it was like a big deal. So camouflage, shotguns, and tractors was just this life down there. So hunting was something, you know, that I grew up doing. My first actually gun that I got was a BB gun. My dad gave me a BB gun and just went through the whole basics of the logistics of just weapon safety. And then I graduated, and then I went to a 20 gauge single shot, which I still have. Though you cock the barrel in, throw the shotgun in, pull the trigger back. It's awesome gun, man.
Yeah.
I still got that, and then I went to a 12 gauge. So it just was a lifestyle, man. And as I continue to show my father that I was safe with that weapon,
then he
just give me another weapon and just graduate up. But hunting, man, was just a lifestyle. I'm a nature guy, dude.
Yeah.
Being in the woods, fishing, that's therapeutic for me. That's my connection to God, dude. That's my time for just to turn my brain off for a little while, put the cell phone to the side. And that's just my connection, man, with God, dude, being in nature.
Is there one hunt, like you have like your greatest wish hunt, like there's the one thing that you want to hunt that's like on your bucket list?
Dude, so a year and a half ago, I picked up bow hunting because I feel like that's just a whole different ball game right there. I would love to go on a guided hunt, man, for elk. Because I've seen those videos of those elks, dude, they get like up close and personal. And you probably like, that's an adrenaline rush for me, man. So if I had a wish, it would be to go on one of those guided hunts, man. I'm actually trying to look into that right now. I'm trying to do it next year.
So you want to?
I would love to go on a guided hunt with just my bow.
Just your bow. I was going to ask you that. I was like, you want to use the bow?
Yeah.
What in particular, real quickly, is about the bow that makes you want to go with the bow instead of going with a gun?
With the bow, man, it's just you got to take a lot of other things in consideration. Your drawback, pulling back, how far is the animal out? I mean, they're 20 yards out, 40 yards, 7 yards. Looking at adjusting your shot. With the rifle, it's nothing towards that, but just sitting in your stand and shooting an animal at 100 yards with your rifle, like that's not where I'm at in my life right now. I feel like it's more of a challenge now with your rifle. You're pushing out like 800 yards. You got to take a lot of things into consideration. But with that bow, man, the first thing I ran into, the first doe I killed when I was getting ready to shoot her was 3 more deer around. So I had to take into consideration when she was looking down, I had to make sure all of them were looking down as I was drawing back, But just, man, that's that's a different element of hunting to me, bow hunting.
Yep, I got to agree with you. Even though I barely even rifle hunt, I've never bow hunted, but I plan to get around to all that stuff after we go to the training course that I said I was going to go to last time. but no, man.
Do this. Even with the hunt I talked about, like the wish hunt that I hope I will be able to do one day. It's just elk hunting, dude, and traveling through those mountains, man, and going through the forests and stuff, dude. And after you finish, killing an animal, dressing it, and backpacking and coming back down, like that's, man. I get chills.
You're such a manly man. But no, man, I'm with you. I'm gonna have to go on a hunt with you as well. Because I've been slacking on that. So after my hunt with Darren, I'll backdoor and I'll go home with you, or you can just come with us on that hunt. But no, man, appreciate it, man. It's been good talking to you. It's always a pleasure, man. And we got to hit the range soon.
Appreciate you, bro. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. You have a good one.
All right, you too.
All right. Still ahead. Jessica Hook is going to join us live, so stick around.